relax. Just have everything you need. Bolsters, maybe blocks if you think you might need them. Cushions, jumpers, socks, because it might get a bit chilly. And just close the eyes. Maybe just noticing the breath without changing it at all. Just feel it moving through the body. It might be the first time all day that you're noticing your breath. It's probably, yeah, it's definitely my first time. How is it this evening? How are you this evening? Bringing your awareness to the back body. Those heavy parts of the back body that you can feel supported. So maybe just bring your awareness to your heels, back of your calf muscles. Allow them to become heavier and softer. The back of the thighs, the sit bones, the back of the pelvis. Just allow that to all become heavier. Thigh muscles relax. You might feel that lift or that curvature at the end of the spine, the lumbar spine. And then you might feel the middle and upper back heavy on the mat. Softening into that space in and around the shoulder blades, between the shoulder blades, behind shoulder blades. And the front of the shoulders just drop back and down. That natural curvature, the top of the spine, back of the neck, that lifts away from the mat, and then the back of the head is heavy on the mat. Become aware of the whole body heavy on the mat. And for the next maybe minute or two, let's focus on the body feeling heavy and the breath maybe slowing down and lengthening a little bit, but not becoming forced. Guiding the breath down into the belly. And we just stay here with the body, the breaths. With each exhale, feel the body become heavier, more relaxed. And we want this nice, relaxed, soft muscle throughout the practice. This is your practice. This is your 70 minutes. Any thoughts that ripple through the mind, just label them as thoughts and let them scoot on by. So we moved into our first shape, and it's Bananasana. So maybe walking the legs over to the left-hand side. They might even come off the mat. You want to keep the sit bones grounded down, so you're not coming up into a twist. The hips, sit bones stay where they are. I like to take my left leg and my left ankle and cross it over my right ankle, and it just keeps my legs in place without me having to grip, because we don't really want to come into this grip and muscle tone in the yin practice. And then I'm going to dig my elbows in, and I'm going to shimmy my upper body in the same direction, reaching my arms up and over to the left, and I'm going to soften, keep a little bend in the elbows. Our target area, or our area of acupressure in the body, will be the right side body, so feel into that deep stretch. If somebody was standing over you and they look down, you'd be the cutest crescent moon, or as the name suggests, Bananasana, kind of a banana shape. If the legs are finding it hard to stay in place, you can place the bolster to kind of rest upon the outer leg. It just deepens that stretch. Softening through the body. Muscles stretch best when completely relaxed. We're even going beyond our muscle layer into our fascia, ligaments, tendons, our joints. It's slow and steady. But quite a deep stretch. Soften. Bring your awareness to the side of the body that's taking this lovely stretch. So maybe it's the right side, maybe your legs, if your legs are over to the left, it's the right side. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being this could be a restorative class, I could fall asleep here, I don't really feel all that much. And 10 being I can't stay here, the discomfort is too intense. You want to be somewhere on a 7 for the yin practice. So you might need to find that 7 by maybe moving the legs over a bit more, putting something to the outside of the right leg to keep it in place, moving the upper body a bit more, reaching over a little bit more. Once you find your 7, you settle into that stillness, that the core part of the yin practice, the practice of stillness. Bring your awareness to your face. Can you relax the muscles around the eyes if the eyes are softly closed down? Relax the eyebrows, the forehead. Soften into the jaw. Maybe a little space between the teeth, the lips. Soften into that space behind both of your ears. Relax the tongue. Gently shift your awareness to the right side body, the right side of the rib cage, the right lung. Can you guide your breath to this area? Notice the shape change that occurs in the rib cage. It's almost like an accordion. It moves through the back, side body, and also the front body. And yin really is a ticket into feeling. We can be quite headstrong and analytical in our ways. Yin is all about feeling. It's all about sensation. It's a great ticket out of your head and into your body. 2 more deep breaths here. Let's slowly bring the arms back down by the sides. You might bring your legs back to center, your upper body back into the middle of the mat. And take your rebound position. So it's like a shavasana, or just like we were lying as we started the class. You're just going to lie down, close the eyes, and notice the sensations that move through the body. They might be quite strong, they might not be so strong. Notice anything that's fizzing up here, moving through. You might notice that one side feels much longer than the other side. Maybe a sense of discombobulation. How is it now? Is there any residual sensations traveling through? Anything you can follow? Please know that you can stay in rebound for as long as you like. This is your practice. You can stay chasing those sensations. If you feel ready to, we move to Bananasana on the other side. So start by maybe moving the legs in the opposite direction. Perhaps it's to the right hand side. Watch that the left bum cheek and hip doesn't rise up. You want to keep that grounding down. And as you move the legs over, you'll start to feel the stretch into the outer left thigh, left hip. That's if the legs are moving to the right. Pressing the elbows into the mat gently, move your upper body in the same direction over to the right, and maybe reaching up and over with the hands, but soften the shoulders and keep a little bend in the elbows. Our approach to everything is yin. It's soft, it's gentle, it's calm. Feel into the left side body, from the left outer thigh up through the left hip, maybe into the left side of the lower back, up through the waist and side body, maybe up into the shoulder, armpit, tricep. This is your sensation area. Don't shy away from your 7. Soften the muscles in the inner thighs, fronts of the thighs. Yin as a practice is such an incredible teacher of feeling, stillness, and patience. When we start to explore the Yin practice, you also begin to become familiar with traditional Chinese medicine. It's quite influenced by traditional Chinese medicine. We work a lot with the meridian lines in the Yin practice. And these meridian lines through the body are energetic channels, like tunnels of chi, or you might have heard the word prana in other yoga lineages. And through these shapes, and with these shapes, with time, gravity, and acupressure, for instance, to the side body in this shape, we're able to stimulate the chi flow through the meridian line that runs along this part of the body. And in Balanasana, it's the gallbladder. So with the flow of chi, it can either become imbalanced by, I suppose, being too, what would the word be, excessive maybe, or lacking this chi to the organs. And just like in acupuncture, with the use of needles and acupressure here in the Yin practice, we're looking to stabilize and bring balance and homeostasis into the energetic body in chi flow. Just a couple of more breaths here. Nice and slowly, bring the arms down first, and then moving maybe the lower body or the upper body back to the middle of the mat. Close the eyes, rebound. Notice where the sensation is strongest. Now you are perfect where you are to move into our next posture. You might need to have your bolster at hand, or if you don't have a bolster, blocks, books, rolled up cushions all work really well. You might need to build it to a certain height so that you are really able to feel that 7 on the scale of 1 to 10. So we are looking for a little bit of discomfort in the yin practice to really target the meridian groups and also the fascia. Yin Yoga is amazing for getting deep into that fascia. And I might explain a little bit more about that in a minute. So you'll be lying on your back. Bend both knees. And place the soles of the feet down onto the mat, as if you're going to lift up into a posture like Setu Bandha, or more commonly known as a glute bridge. And you're going to gently push into the feet and slide the bolster underneath. Okay, so I'm going to put it just towards my lower back. My bum is still on it. Suppose where the sacrum is, that bony part in the lower back, top of the glutes. And very carefully and slowly, I'm saying carefully because I'm surrounded by candles here. And it's an absolute fire hazard. So if there's candles around, just slowly and carefully straighten the legs, if that feels okay on the lumbar spine. So it's a supported bridge. The hands might come out to a T, or you might bring them up overhead, even in a cactus shape. The target area here is the lower back. You feel the sensation just there in the lumbar spine, and you might even have your target area as the front of the hips. Lower abdomen. The legs can move further away from each other if there's a lot of discomfort in the lumbar spine. But with the yin practice, we really have to figure out, am I just uncomfortable, or is this hurting me? With any practice in yoga, whether it's yin, yang, you really want to stay clear of painful sensations. But uncomfortable sensations, staying with that and finding stillness and patience here is a really, 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 really potent practice. Yin has definitely taught me to be more patient and much less reactive off the mat. It almost has taught me how to stop when I'm in a stressful, awkward, maybe confrontational, the word I'm trying to say, situation, and ask myself, how do I really feel about this? Is this true? How do I really feel? It's really reflective practice in yoga. Soften. Relax the bum cheeks, relax the muscles around the hips, inner thighs. This is a great position to be in if you are sitting for work, if you're working from home, if you're at a desk, at a computer, and you're sitting and the hips are always in, for long periods of time, in a state of flexion, meaning you're hinging really, the knees are coming towards you. This is the opposite, the hips are really able to come into extension here. Really finding all that spaciousness in the front of the hips, front of the thighs. The meridian lines here are stomach and spleen. They run up through the front of the thighs, through the fronts of the hips, fronts of the belly. Stomach and spleen can be linked to, or an imbalance of the chi flow can be linked to anxiety, worry, fear. And just a couple more breaths here. Think about guiding the breath right down into the belly. Feel the belly swell outward as the breath moves into this area. The breath work in the yoga practice is called pranayama, and it literally translates to prana meaning energy, ayana, energy life force is what it's known as, and ayama meaning extension. So as the breath moves down through the body and into the belly, you can literally feel the belly swell, and it's almost like your body becomes animated with all this life force. It becomes lighter, it lifts. And really that is what the breath is to us. If you feel ready to move into your rebound, maybe bend the knees, push into the soles of the feet. Nice and gently lift yourself up, remove whatever was beneath you, and come to lying on your back with your eyes closed. Feel the sensations. They may be quite strong here as we really worked the mobility of the lower spine here, the lumbar spine. You don't have to get pulled into these sensations or too involved. You can simply just witness it and notice it. Just enjoying the lovely sounds of the motorbike outside, tearing off the road. At least the kids are quiet tonight. I know Al and Kaylee's probably been here. And it seems as if all the children of Ballygarbin correlate outside my house and start screaming for the hour when I teach in. That's okay, that's life. If you're ready to come out of rebound, roll onto your left hand side, press yourself up, come up to a seated position, and then maybe come onto all fours. We're going to move into Sphinx pose next. So we've already done one of our back bends, supported bridge, the posture we just done. And then we're going to move through the upper spine a little bit more. That was more lower spine focused. And typically back bends in a Yin Yoga practice tend to be quite yang. And I chose them this evening because it's so lovely and sunny. Everything is growing. Flowers, the trees are getting slightly greener. And it's a really yang time of the year. So energetically, everything can be quite yang within the seasons. So, you know, I thought we'd bring just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of yang into the yin practice. And that's what the back bends tend to be. So I have my bolster. Actually, I'll show you guys first without the bolster. So coming to a prone position, meaning your belly down. And you're going to slide the forearms just to support you. Don't worry about alignment. This isn't a practice of alignment. If anything, it's the opposite. It's a practice where you move into a position where you feel the target area. And the target area in Sphinx is the lower spine, the lumbar spine, this part of the back. If this was a normal yang, well, normal isn't the word, yang class, I'd be quite active here. My shoulders will be down away from my ears, but because it's yin, I want you to really collapse into it. Sink down into the shoulders, sink down into the space between the shoulder blades. If there's any pinching in the lower back, just move the legs a little further apart. Now, if you want to bring your bolster or a prop into it, which I would recommend, it allows you to kind of soften into it a little bit more. You have the bolster here. You roll it so that it would be by the lower ribs. And I like to bring my elbows up onto the bolster here. And I like my palms facing up. And I already have to really tell myself I'm activating muscles in my shoulders here to kind of keep myself upright. I have to remind myself that no. I need to be yin and I need to be passive and soft. And almost just surrender to this shape. So if you don't have a bolster, you might roll something else under the ribs. But I would say it'd probably be best if it was soft, so you might roll it up into a blanket or there's some cushions. And soften as best you can here. It can be harder in these back bends to find softness, but just allow the body to become as soft as it can tonight. Some days we're a little bit more tense. That's okay. Relax the jaw, close the eyes. Feel into the sensations in the lower back. And again here, we're targeting stomach and spleen meridian lines. So we're getting a nice stretch along the fronts of the hips, fronts of the belly, the abdomen. Soften into it a little bit more. Become acquainted with the discomfort. It's a really great teacher. I'm just going to read a piece of writing by, I think it's a lady, maybe it could be a man, called Portia Nelson, and it's called Autobiography in 5 Chapters. Chapter 1. I walk down the street, there is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in, I am lost, I am helpless, it isn't my fault. It takes me forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it, it's there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. Just a couple of more breaths here. Observe what happens when you know you're coming towards the end. Is there a sense of impatience, or does your body soften into this shape a little bit more, knowing that the end is in sight? For your rebound here, you might decide to, well, we'll take, if we're using postures, or sorry, props, we'll take those away. And you might choose to come and lie on your belly. You can take your rebound lying on your belly. For me personally, that just isn't really comfortable. Boobs kind of get in the way. So I like to kind of roll onto my back, but everyone's different, and you find where you can really rest into your rebound best. If you're ready to come out of rebound and you're lying on your belly, you might just place your hands beneath your shoulders and gently push yourself up. If you're on your back, roll onto your left hand side, come up to seated. So we're going to stay with the upper spine and come into a thoracic heart opener. So thoracic spine is the area, bra strap, kind of middle and upper back. So again, I'm just thinking a lot about people who are sitting at desks during the day, and even no matter what your work is, a lot of the time we come into this kind of shape. We might round through the shoulders. It often happens as well for me personally when I'm going through kind of a tough time, or I'm just feeling a little bit vulnerable or sad. Basically this year, I'm joking, but I'm not. I tend to kind of round through my shoulders. It's like just a protection mechanism. So this posture really kind of counteracts all that. And it can feel absolutely glorious or very vulnerable for some people and different situations. You're very open. A lot of the time it's, for me, I love it. But other times I'm like, oh, it's so open. So it's just something to observe. I have my bolster. Again, if you don't have a bolster, you might stack some books or you might stack some blocks up to a certain height, and I would wrap it in a blanket or a cushion just to soften what you will be lying over. You might have a block handy, even if you have a bolster to place behind you to rest the head on. It's quite a deep stretch into the front of the neck here, the sternomass. some long name I can't remember. The muscles just here, and they can get quite tight and tense. So I like to start by bending my knees. I roll my bolster up a little bit. I'm aiming to lie over it and for it to be somewhere in my middle to upper back. So kind of around the bra strap area. Keeping the knees bent as I, it's like I'm melting over it. Now I can have my block here for my head to rest on, or I actually prefer to have nothing and to just let my head hang. Now it's not touching the floor, but by the time I get to the end of my time spent here, the gravity and the time, my head will be touching the floor just from that stretching and lengthening. The arms can come up overhead, or for some, they might like to bring the arms out to a T. I quite like the arms out in this T shape. But when you feel ready, you might straighten one leg, and then you might straighten the other. Soften into it. Some deep breaths, and on the exhale, just melt over whatever is supporting you. Relax the shoulders, the jaw. Just allow the fingers to curl in naturally. You're really not doing a thing. Target area, lower back. Secondary target area, chest, the chest muscles. The arms are out in a T shape. Front of the shoulders, bicep, inner arm. And all along here runs the meridian lines for the heart and the lungs. And once you shift the focus into the upper body in traditional Chinese medicine, you're working with meridian lines that correlate to feelings of possible maybe grief or melancholy. Lower body meridians tend to deal more with anger, fear, irritation when chi flow is imbalanced. If the arms happen to be reaching right up overhead, which is also an option, the area that will get the stretch will kind of move from the front of the shoulder in towards the tricep and underarm area. So just knowing that, if you practice this, you might just decide to do one yin pose before bed. It's always a nice idea. Some other day, you might see how it feels to reach the arms up overhead. Observe what's going on in the mind. Did it skedaddle somewhere else when maybe the sensations become very uncomfortable? And what helps in these situations when you feel you're being really drawn in is to take a step back and just almost take the seat of the observer. It's called witness consciousness. It's almost like you're stepping back from the discomfort or the thought process and just noticing it, witnessing it. You're not it. It is not you. You might bend the knees and bring the soles of the feet down. Some people find it easiest to roll off to the side. To be honest, this is a very difficult one, I feel, to come out of, but do so slowly. And come to lying on your back. Feel that rush of chi energy that these quite deep back bends can offer. The tingles, the heat, might be a sensation of cold. The arms might be tingling, or the fingers and hands might have pins and needles. Try not to distract yourself or steal yourself away from this sensation. You are already that which you want to be, and your refusal to believe this is the only reason you do not see it. To seek on the outside for that which you do not feel you are is to see in vain. For we never find that which we want, we only find that which we are. How is it now? If you're ready to come out of rebound, I'm going to roll onto your left hand side. Gently push yourself up to seated. for our final posture before Shavasana. I'm going to give you a choice what you would prefer to do. The first option is caterpillar. So there's been a lot of, if we're just talking about the practice physically and not emotionally and energetically, there's been lots of spinal extension. So when the spine moves into a back bend. So we're going to just wrap a little bow on it and bring the spine into flexion. So coming into a forward fold. Now caterpillar might be a good choice. It's just Yin's version of Paschimottanasana. I'd recommend bending the legs and just folding into yourself. It's almost like your legs are receiving your upper body and you're just melting, folding into yourself. Allowing especially the lower back to lengthen as it's spent the duration of the class in a state of compression. Another option for caterpillar is if you have a bolster, you might bring the bolster over the thighs and lie yourself down onto it. So it's like you're building the surface up to you. I'm not too concerned about you guys finding your 7 here. I'd rather you just find rest so that we can really slip into that yin before Shavasana, because the back bends can be a little stimulating. So don't worry too much about sensation, just find rest. And the other option we have is butterfly, so Baddha Konasana. Soles of the feet come together. I would say make a large diamond shape with the legs, so allow the legs to slide away more instead of bringing them up close to the groin, and fold down into your forward fold, into butterfly. To me, I'm able to rest better here, so this would be what I would choose. But we're all different, so caterpillar, butterfly, whatever tickles your fancy. Wherever you can find a greater sense of ease. We're not staying too long here, so when you're ready, rise up, come to lie on your back, get what you may need for Shavasana, or final resting pose. You might choose to pop a pillow under the head, wrap yourself in a blanket. You might choose to turn the lights off. I've run short on time, so we're going to do a blend of rebound and Shavasana. So you might just spend maybe the first half a minute noticing any sensations that might be there. And then I just want you to allow your mind to not really focus on anything. And that's really hard. Sometimes it's a silly thing to say. It's almost like you're focusing on not focusing. But you don't have to focus on your breath, your posture, your sensations. Just take rest. I look after the time. If your body is feeling like it wants to stay here in Shavasana, maybe it's your mind is feeling, it's that feeling of Shavasana, oh, this is the shit. Excuse my language. That's the feeling. If that's what you're feeling, then I would say stay as you are. You can always close out the practice and log off. Slip away into cyberspace while you enjoy a longer Shavasana. If you feel that you're ready to come out of Shavasana, you can gently roll onto your left hand side. If you're ready to come up, push into the right hand, come up to a cross-legged seat. If you feel like bringing the palms to prayer, or perhaps, maybe the palms might just want to come over the heart center after all those lovely Yin Yoga backbends. You do what you feel called to. And just take a moment honoring yourself for your patience, your time, your presence, your energy. And really, I don't think people truly understand the amount of patience and energy it takes to be still. My teacher, my Yin Yoga teacher, always says, honor your courage. And I think that's really lovely because, it is hard to be still with yourself for 75 minutes as your brain pulls you, can pull you around in all directions. So honor your courage. I'll close the class with a mantra. I would have learned it from the Ashtanga Vinyasa lineage or the more Yang Yoga styles, but it's a mantra about us emerging from darkness into light, and I feel it's really potent at this time of the year. I'll start with one arm if you want to join, taking a deep inhale. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Joytirgamaya Mritangamaya. Thank you so much. Have a lovely sleep. Namaste.